Okay, here's what's going on. Cam's mom has a couch that she wants to get rid of. And they don't really have a truck. But I do. And in order to fit a couch in the bed, I have to take off the topper. Now, I'm currently home alone, and I don't want to make Cam drive all the way out here just to take the topper off, just so that we can go back to his house to put the couch on. So I figured I'd try doing this by myself, and it is not easy, let me tell you. The thing only weighs like 50 pounds, but it is such an awkward, large shape that it's kind of difficult. Maybe I don't want a regular. Death wobble culprits. Let's see here. Yeah, it all looks fine to me. What's going on there, Twitter? It's me. So on that trip to get the topper, I hit a bump at the perfect angle on the interstate. And, oh, I got death wobble. Go on now. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I had to slow down to like 30 miles an hour before it went away. And ever since then, every time I make a sharp turn, there's this horrible, like, snap noise. So, I figured I should stop driving it, and look at this track bar, man. This thing is absolutely fried, and the ball joint is not so great either. So, I was afraid that the bracket itself had, like, rusted off, and this would be absolutely but it appears as if it's just the bushing. I mean, the track bar looks like it's been replaced before, but it was probably a cheap shit part, and I made the same mistake on the XJ. I had to do that twice. I hate track bars. I hate replacing them. That little pocket up there where the ball joint sits in is such a pain to get to. But if I'm going to have death wobble going any faster than 35, I gotta replace it. So I figured I'd take off this skid plate because that's going to be in the way. And, oh boy, that's being fun already. There's 3 bolts on the inside of it over here, and there's only 1 on that side, which doesn't really make any sense. So I'm trying to fit a ratchet with a breaker bar on it in there, and I'm probably just going to end up breaking these bolts off, but I don't really care at this point. The whole truck's dying. It's trying to kill me, as it does, as you can see. But yeah, I don't really know, man. I don't know about this thing. The skid plate was actually a pretty rare factory option. If anybody actually has one of these, this is what it looks like when you get it out. There were 2 bolts holding mine, but I imagine there's a third one that would go over here somewhere on models that actually are complete. As you can see now, it's a lot more spacious under here. This is where the middle stud was. I guess this is just part of the bumper. And then there was a bolt here that threaded into a little circle majigger that I had to put vice grips on to stop it from turning. And then there wasn't a bolt over there. So now there's actually some room in here, and I think I'm just going to leave this off. I don't really like it. I mean, it is nice to have for off-roading, but on a truck that's more rust than real metal, I think it's beneficial to actually see the steering linkage. Okay. Yeah. Alright, first step is going to be getting all these cotter pins out. What? It's moving? Oh my god, what? Whoa, no way. No way. Wow. Alright. All the other ones are going to break. That's what it is. Actually, this one doesn't look so bad. Huh. Alright, everyone but those two is going to break. Let's get it, boys. Oh my god. Oh, I almost got you. Yeah. I totally forgot about this one up here. I always forget about this one. Oh boy, here we go. Probably just turning the whole thing, honestly. Oh no, it's not. Holy shit. Oh, that one was much easier. Okay. Oh, wow. That actually just loosened right up. I'm telling you, man, peanut butter is a lifesaver. Oh, wow. This is wild. This is going too well. I'm gonna break something. And all of these joints on all of these linkages are all completely fried. And if that's the case in your Jeep, this is probably why you have death wobble. This is the steering linkage, and behind it is the track bar, which is also absolutely fried. So I'm going to take out the steering linkage so that we have room to get to the track bar, because this is a bit of a pain to replace. But you might notice that there's no bolts holding it on right now, and even so, it is not moving. So this is the part where we bring out the sledgehammer. There's one. There's two. There we go. Alright, now this is the tool you're supposed to use. This is called a pickle fork, or a ball joint separator tool. You're supposed to put this in the ball joint as such, and if it won't go in, hammer it in farther, and as you hammer it, it separates the ball joint. Next, I'm going to take out the track bar. There's one more castle nut with a cotter pin on this side. So I go to loosen it, and this is how tight it was. Just like this. That better not be stripped out. Okay, it's coming out down here. I can see it, so it's not stripped. Thankfully, Usually it would be a lot harder than that, but this just slid right out of there. That might have had something to do with all the peanut butter I soaked it with. So, wow, that's actually the easiest track bar I've ever removed. Usually it is a lot worse than that. Here's the other side. This is a 15mm bolt. The other ones were assorted sizes. Usually I'd tell you guys what size they are, but okay, that one's gonna require some persuasion. This little tab on the back is welded to a nut, and this is turning when I turn the bolt. The reason that tab is turning, or the reason there is a tab there, is so that it hits the axle and stops the nut on the back from turning when you're trying to loosen this bolt. I have made sure to spray that as well, but that really doesn't feel like it wants to come out. Come on now. I'm gonna try the old hammer method. Okay. Oh. Sudden stop. It didn't break, did it? Doesn't feel like it's just fighting with me. Come on, let's go. Come on now. I got places to do and things to be. There we go. That's it. Make sure that is actually coming out. There's a little bit of a gap. So where is that tab? Oh. Well, I have good news and bad news. The good news is the tab is still there. The bad news is it is completely bent over on itself. Oh. Okay, never mind, it's not bent. I didn't think that was in there. On my XJ, this is actually just a flat piece. So I guess they changed this through the year. Uh-oh. Okay, maybe it is busted. That doesn't look normal. Well, regardless, we got it out. Ah! Look at that disgusting thing. There's hardly any threads left on it. Okay, now the track bar should come out. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not going to replace the steering stabilizer, because honestly, this one is fine. If you're doing this yourself, I would recommend replacing that, but don't put in a new one of these expecting it to solve death wobble, because that's not the right way to do it. Here's all the old stuff out. I'm going to put it side by side next to the replacement stuff and make sure they're about the same length so we don't have to adjust it as much when we put everything in. When you put the track bar in, we're going to start with this bolt because this is a solid bushing and the ball joint has a little bit of leeway in it. So if we start this side first, we can move the ball joint accordingly to line it up. Put some thread locker on this bolt. And it's in there. I'm going to put this thing back there. Now this thing, It did actually come detached from the bolt, but not to the point where it's falling out, like it's staying in there. If I were you, I would re-weld this. If I were me, I'm gonna be a cheap bastard because I don't know how to weld, and I'm just gonna hope that this does good until the next track bar has to go in. So let's put this back into place. I'm gonna back out this bolt enough so that we can actually get that in there. All right, and I believe, yes, I got it started. All right. I'm going to go to the other side and make sure it lines up. There we go. I'll put this nut on loosely, and then we can continue tightening this bolt. This bolt gets torqued to 40 foot-pounds. That's going to be the same on all years of the XJ and MJ. The upper bolt gets torqued to 60 foot-pounds, which is also the same for all years. It can be kind of tricky to get the cotter pin in there, but as you can see, this hole is way above the castle nut. There's probably something you're supposed to do about that, but I'm going to put the cotter pin in here and just bend it downwards so that it catches in the teeth of the nut. I've loosely attached the steering linkage. This is the tricky part. Just vaguely line it up with where it's supposed to go. And come on now. There we go. Once it's in there enough, loosely put a nut on it. And then, using the two adjuster sleeves, that's how you align it. Now, of course, you will have to go get an actual alignment after you do this. But to get the wheels as straight as you can, you're going to twist this and this to adjust each one so that they're straight. It's very handy that all the bolts on the replacement linkage are the same size. All of the ball studs get torqued to 55 foot-pounds. Oh, come on now. How I align these by hand is I look at the surface of the brake rotor and slowly adjust it until that surface is perfectly aligned with the centermost point in the rear tire. I've gotten within 1/3 of a degree doing this, so it's pretty accurate. When you drive your project car every day, it can be easy to forget basic things like rotate your tires. I don't know when the last time that was done on this truck, but I decided to take this opportunity to do that. In other MJ news, I did actually find the time to epoxy putty the shift knob back on. So it doesn't look very good, but at least it doesn't hurt my hand when I go to shift it now. That's kind of nice, honestly. And a while ago, I decided it would be a good idea to haul about 700 pounds of firewood. And ever since then, the driver's side's been sitting a bit lower than the passenger side. Can you spot the problem? The second from the bottom leaf spring on this one is just gone. So I imagine I hit a bump somewhere and it cracked, and it just is road debris now. Yeah, I'm missing a leaf on the driver's side. Passenger side is still all there. But this is not the metric ton package, but it still should have a payload of about 1,200, 1,400 pounds, I think. So it was only at half that, but man, was the suspension sagged. If you look at these pictures right here, it sure was loaded down. Let me tell you, the engine did not even notice the weight. The suspension, on the other hand, probably hasn't been loaded down in almost a decade, so these springs got brittle, and when they were actually supporting a load, instead of bending like they're supposed to, they snapped. So that's something I gotta worry about now. Now, according to most of the internet, nobody makes leaf springs for Comanches anymore, which is relatively unfortunate, but I was able to find some on Rock Auto, actually, and I'm wondering if these are actually usable, because I haven't seen anybody talk about these. So if you have an MJ, please let me know where you got some replacement leaf springs from, because I have no idea how old these are, and I have no idea how long it's going to be before the passenger side one cracks. But regardless of my leaf spring situation, I'm still going to drive it. So the steering wheel isn't quite straight. I'm going to just worry about that later. See how she does on the highway. Try the interstate on the way back. All right, here we go. Bit of wobble to her. It's doing good. It's going straight. Wow. I survived. Last thing I have for you guys today is some new struts in the back liftgate majigger. They're probably rated for like 100 pounds each, and this thing only weighs like 2 pounds, so it is really hard to close. But when you open it, it's staying open. And so we have another installment in the Comanche series. But what am I going to do with this thing? YouTube has actually just started paying me, so that's nice. It's not livable, but it's not nothing. So, yeah, I need to move out soon. So I live in my dad's basement, and having an apartment without a garage and having 2 vehicles and probably a roommate who's going to have their own vehicle, that's not really going to be an ideal situation. So if I move out, I'm going to need a garage if I'm going to keep this thing. And if I have a garage, it's going to be more expensive to rent. So I need money, basically, which is my primary motivation for selling this thing. My second motivation is that I don't need a truck. I never use it for truck things, and I personally hate people who have trucks just to have a truck. Like, they have a truck that is capable of doing truck things, but they never do truck things with them. I'm kind of a hypocrite because I drive a truck and very rarely do I use it for truck things. I just wanted it because it was cool, and it's kind of like, it's like my second dream car, behind the Cherokee, of course. So, I have a 4x4, that would be the XJ. I don't need a second 4x4. I was daydreaming one day. Here's what I came up with. Hear me out. We 2-wheel drive swap it, okay? As in, take out the transfer case, put in a 2-wheel drive beam axle, get rid of all the 4-wheel drive stuff for weight reduction. We get a 2-wheel drive AX15. We lower it 4 inches, put some smaller tires on it. Eventually, this is far down the line, of course, eventually put a 4.6 stroker in it, and have a really fast shitbox Comanche. I kind of like the idea of a 2-wheel drive sleeper MJ, you know what I'm saying? And somebody would buy all the 4-wheel drive stuff out of this, definitely. This could be used to 4-wheel drive swap another XJ or MJ, so it's not entirely out of question. And maybe I could even trade them for their 2-wheel drive parts. But that would be a lot of work. It would take a long time. It would cost a lot of money, and I'm going to need space to do that. So it's definitely a dream. As for the next installment in this series, it might be a while because I need to work on saving up money, as I've talked about. And although this thing definitely needs a lot of work, I don't have the money for that. So it's kind of just my backup car, where I primarily drive the XJ, and if something goes wrong with it where I need to have it torn apart for multiple days, this is the truck I drive. And it's nice to have a second vehicle like that. And in fact, I'm going to need to tear apart the rear suspension on the XJ. I am doing an add-a-leaf pack and getting rid of the lift shackles. So, you know, while I'm doing that, it's going to be nice to have a truck like this. And it's not without its uses, you know. I've definitely put it to work a couple of times, and it is nice to have. But my dad also has a truck, which he uses. So it's not like we're short on trucks. So that's just kind of my end of the video rant. I didn't know where else to put this. I didn't want to make a dedicated video to ranting about my life problems. But that's kind of where I'm at right now. So don't be alarmed if there's not many Comanche videos in the future. I'm just going to kind of make them as things come up. Like, you know, death wobble is kind of an important problem. So I figured I should fix that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I don't know what's up next, but I made a poll, and only 15 of my 1,000 subscribers actually voted on it. But I figure I need to do more community engagement stuff now that the channel's actually going somewhere, unlike me in life. Yeah, if you have any video suggestions, let me know. Also, if anybody wants a rear sway bar from an XJ, I have one. You can take it. It's free. But I'm going to shut up now.